journalist. He's recovering, but he's also the information officer here for York County and occasional professional wrestler. Good morning, Ted. How are you?
Hey, Gary. I'm great. How you doing?
You knew that was coming, right? I mean, at some point in time, you knew that had to be coming in there. But yeah,
I appreciate that.
Great to have you in this morning. You know, one of the stories we haven't talked about a lot this week, but it's been out there, has been this what's going on with Nigerian Christians over in obviously that part of the world. And you wanted to talk about that a little bit this morning as you look back on the week with the press, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting. The media's, or maybe it's not so interesting. Maybe it's kind of expected at this point. The media's take on this, because the background is that President Trump weighed in, saying that he would, quote, do things to Nigeria that Nigeria is not going to be happy about, and also, quote, go into that now disgraced country guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
Because there's this Islamic terrorist group, Boko Haram,
right,
that's been carrying out mass kidnappings and killings of Christians in Nigeria. It's pretty well documented.
Right.
But the media, the mainstream media, they've got a problem with what he said. They're kind of focusing on, it's Trump, so they're picking what he's saying apart, and they're saying, well, it's not just Christians, it's other people as well, and so yeah, they're trying to, I guess, water down or poo-poo what he's saying.
Interesting. Well, so you get the normal bravado of Trump, which is that's what he says,
right.
And okay, people kind of know him by now. On the other side, you say, okay, what is the and I guess maybe the question I would ask you in this, being a journalist, is what is the main story here? Is the main story the way Trump talked about it, or is the main story the genocide that's taking place in that part of the world against Nigerian Christians? And I'm no news guy, but I got to think, the very first part of that is the genocide is taking place. That is the act that is causing the reaction by anybody, right?
Well, sure. If I were writing the story, focus on that. But read the room. What is the main deal here? What is going on in Nigeria? Not what Trump said, and trying to, like I said, split hairs and pick things apart. ABC. I think it was the guy that used to be in the NFL, Michael Strahan. He said, "Well, it affects everyone, regardless of religion."
Right.
Does it though? Does it really though?
Is that where it's focused, or is it focused on? Is the story okay? You got a genocide, and is it focused on Nigerian Christians for the most part? And the answer is yes, it is. Boko Haram is carrying it out. So you start to put the elements of the story together here. If you're doing a press piece here, and that's what the story is. And so then later on, anything else that you say, well, here's how President Trump looked at it. Here's how somebody else looked at it. These are some of the questions that have come up since then. That would seem like, I think when you write a story, aren't you supposed to write it in, is it the inverted triangle? Am I thinking of that correctly, where you start and then you narrow down at the end of it? Yeah.
Right. So that's the basic plan for a story is the inverted pyramid, especially when you're doing like a breaking news story. Yeah, the most important stuff is at the top, and then it goes down from there, and so that's how you get that inverted pyramid.
Right. So if you started,
totally correct.
If you started the story with Trump wants to go in and shoot up Nigeria, that's not the story. The story is Boko Haram killing Nigerian Christians, slaughter going on, and Trump reacts, whoever the world reacts, however. But as you go down that inverted pyramid, the big story is there's a slaughter going on there. And so it's kind of an interesting topic this morning, because you get to think about how you write a story. And, so you covered a lot of stories during your lifetime as a reporter. And so, so when you start out, the very first thing is say, well, here's what's happening. Here's what gets your attention. And now here's all the other stuff connected to it as you go down, which becomes the narrower part of the story as you go to the end, right?
Well, yes. I mean, absolutely. But that's apparently not what we're seeing here. They're just focused on, and I don't think that the mainstream media was really looking at this situation very much.
Right.
But President Trump, brought some attention to it, and so then they seize upon what he's saying, but not they're missing the big point. Yeah, I mean that's the bottom line. They're missing the big point, that the fact that there's kidnappings and killings of Christians going on in Nigeria. That's the point.
Right. And that's the main point.
It's staring them in the face, but they're
let me ask you this
yeah.
question, and this is kind of just an afterthought here about the final 3 minutes that we have. But so President Trump muses out loud pretty quickly and pretty openly all the time. I mean, he is, you know what's on his mind.
Right.
Put it that way. And so when he comes out and talks about, they're not going to like this, we'll come in guns blazing and all that, does that help the situation at that point? How would you view that when you were writing, and let's say a leader on any level would come in and start to talk about that right away? Is it hard to stay focused on the story, which you and I have kind of discussed here, with all that other noise going on out there right away? Or would we be better served, and I'm just raising a what if, would we be better served if people just kind of waited a little bit, let it, find out what all is going on, and then quietly go about doing something about it? I don't know, just my thoughts. Your thoughts. Right?
Well, I think to hear the follow-up is important.
Yes.
He makes these statements. Okay, so let's follow up on that. What does he mean by that, guns a-blazing? Is he really saying that, or what does he really, he want?
Is it literal? Is it figurative? Are they going to cut off aid? Are they going to, and all that kind of stuff?
He wants Nigeria to take care of the problem, really. He doesn't really want to go in there, but he's trying to influence them. And I think he might have said something about turning off the spigot as far as the aid is concerned. But I mean the follow up is very important in any news story. So if you can't talk to him, talk to his press secretary.
Right.
And say what does he really mean by that? Let's get some clarity.
One of the things that's really interesting to me that's different during this time of Trump. He does a lot of things out in the public. I mean, out in the open. I mean, stuff that we used to think, well, that's you do that behind the scenes. I mean, you negotiate those kind of things behind the scenes. You do, and I'm sure there's still a lot of that going on too. However, he does just about. He muses in public. He does a lot of this in public. And I don't know. Do you find that to be, just from a general standpoint, is that healthy that it's out there, or would you sooner have people going behind the scenes? I sense that there are people who really like that a lot. Then I sense there are other people who say, hey, let's get back to kind of doing it the way we used to do it, where they had a little bit of, quietness behind it. I don't know. What's your take on that as a citizen and as a newsman?
Well, yeah, it's a bit unorthodox, but I think these days people don't want things sugar-coated.
Yeah.
They like reality. They want somebody who's real. There's a sheriff in Florida. I believe his name is Grady Judd. And you have to, if you haven't heard of him, you got to look him up on YouTube.
What a great name for a sheriff, by the way, Grady Judd. Judd. Yeah, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. It's straight out of Hollywood, but he's real, and he's a real guy, and he's real in his delivery. Like, he will not sugarcoat anything. He will just tell you
right.
it like it is when he's talking about they've made an arrest or basically any type of criminal activity. And so I think maybe there's been a bit of a turn in our country, in that we want someone who's real. We don't want to be lied to, and we don't want things hidden from us.
Well,
so yeah, Trump will give you his stream of consciousness, as you said, and and the media should be used to that by now, because he's in his second term.
Right.
Come on.
Well, he's been around now almost 10 years on the public stage in terms of politics. And before that, obviously, he was around a lot with, The Apprentice and all that.
But I think it just goes against what they just still can't handle it, I think.
Yeah, well, I do think he does keep people off. He's outrageous in terms of what he says a lot of times. And he comes right at you. But it's going to be interesting to see what comes after this later on down the line. We don't know what that's going to look like, but it will be interesting to see what our conversation will look like in coming years here from our politicians, if it gets better, worse, whatever. But certainly he is I don't know if you say once in a lifetime guy on that, but we'll see what happens. Hey, good topic this one. I really appreciate it. And thanks for explaining some of the stuff on how you write things and so forth. I think that really takes us inside journalistic mind, if you will. So, Ted, next Friday, I will not be here, but you'll be talking next Friday to Jim Hanneslinger, and looking forward to having a piece with you, and have a great weekend, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. Ted Check here on the Gary Sutton Show. Check out his book on Amazon. It's Saving the Beast. Ted Check, Czech. He's also the spokesman for the county in terms of information officer. So he gets all the news out there that the county has to offer. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back.